Hello and welcome back, Squirrel Nation. Today we're going to review the 4-man Darkslayer side jungle invade. Okay, there's a lot of different types of invade, there's a lot of different types of defense based on the invades that you expect. So in the future and in the comments, please let me know if you want me to review other types of invades or if this one is enough and you can kind of start experimenting on your own with your friends. But anyways, I think this is the one I wanted to start on because this is something that just, to me, makes Arena of Valor so much more fun and enjoyable with your group of friends, is when you guys can start trying to implement and experiment with different strategies, and there's nothing like the feeling of getting a successful jungle invade and getting 1 or 2 early game kills. So, one note before we dive in, for anybody new to the channel, please smash that subscribe button so that you don't miss out on any of my future videos. I also want to encourage everybody to leave their feedback in the comments below. I read it all. I try to respond to every single comment. And anyways, it's how I get the ideas and how I understand what type of content you all are looking for to help you improve the most. So anyways, with that said, let's dive in. So, 4-man invade, okay? Let's first cover what the person who is not invading is. And so if you're going to invade the Darkslayer side, then the lane that is not involved is the dragon side laner, okay? So what the dragon side laner is going to do is pretty simple. The end goal of the dragon side laner is to either get in this bush, or even better, get in this bush, okay? So they're simply going to run down mid and come into this bush, or come into this bush, okay? Simple, easy to understand. So why are they running in these bushes, right? Okay, well, there is one reason, and one reason only they are running in these bushes, okay? Is they are running in these bushes to watch for the enemy invade. And they will see an enemy come this way to invade, okay? So enemies will come this way, or enemies will come this way. I refer to these as inner invades and outer invades, okay? So if you position properly, you can see either invade, right? What do you do becomes the next question. So if you are the solo, you're the only player down here, right? You're watching your team's red buff in this case, but it's your dragon side buff. Then what do you do when you see enemies? Okay, so you see enemies crossing the river. You only have one job. You tell your team, enemies are invading, and you call out numbers. You say, I see 2 enemies, 3 enemies invading, okay? And then what do you do? Okay, then all you have to do, actually I'll leave those up. All you have to do is you are going to auto attack, or use a skill, up to you, auto attack the red buff once, and then you are going to run yourself down here and come to your lane, okay? And start clearing and do everything that you normally do. The reason you do that is because when you hit this buff, what is going to happen is this buff is actually going to chase you out, okay? So the buff is actually going to follow you this way, right? And you know the circle that's around the buff, right? It resets if it gets outside that circle. So it's going to come run, it's going to follow you, it's going to get outside that circle. When it gets outside that circle, what's going to happen is it's going to turn around, not immediately, but after it's out of the circle for a certain amount of time, it's going to turn around, head back to its spawn point, right? Its spawn point, and then it's actually going to regenerate all of its health, so it's going to get back to full health. So why is this important? Okay, this is important because the enemies come here. Let's say the enemies get here at the same time your team gets to this red buff, the enemy side red buff, right? So and let's use a green circle to be our goal. So our goal is over here, right? That's what our team wants to kill out of this whole play. So anyways, so our team's killing this. The enemy team, though, you've reset the red buff. So now they have to wait a couple seconds while it runs out here. They don't have enough damage to kill it early game. Then they have to wait a couple seconds for it to run back. Then it's going to be back to full health, and only then can they start killing it, right? And depending what hero you're playing, maybe you're back on this other side kind of poking at them. They can't really kill you, and you're just annoying them. You're watching them, right? There's still 2, there's still 3, there's 4, right? Maybe they give up on it just because you poked them and you reset the buff. Anyways, during that time, your team has already killed the enemy's buff, right? And then guess what? They can, oh, wrong thing. They can start heading down to defend, right? So they come down here, they come through these bushes, boom, 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 and now they're behind the enemy, right? So now you have 4 people coming down on however many invaded. You would only do this if you're going to have an advantage. So if it was like 2 or 3 people who invaded, this would be a great play, right? So you just come back, and you're going to engage them when they try to disengage from this route, or if they get lucky and they disengage this route, they get lucky, everybody spread back out and do your own thing. So anyways, hopefully that is clear. The dragon lane's role is just simply defense and to stall the enemies from invading. Okay, So what is the main group going to do? I'm going to represent the main group in blue. The main group is the Dark Slayer laner, the mid laner, the support, and the jungler. Okay, so they're going to come down, they're going to hop in this bush, they're going to go in this bush, then they are going to come around this bend, and finally they are going to end up in this bush. Okay, so let's, right? So are they going to wait? No. What are they going to do? They're going to wait. They are going to run against that threshold that stops you from moving right when the game starts, and as soon as it drops, they are going to run straight along this path. They're going to get in this bush, right? And you want to be in this bush, okay? The reason you want to be in this bush, whatever team gets in this bush with a lot of people is going to have an advantage in the fight, okay? Because let's say you have 4 people in a bush and you have 4 people outside a bush. Which side is going to get a shoot first? Well, the side inside the bush, because the side inside the bush can target the people outside the bush because they see them in their vision. But the people outside the bush cannot, right? With auto attacks. They can throw skills in, but there are going to be auto attack heroes based in here, right? And early game, you only have 1 skill. Auto attacks are going to matter a lot. So anyways, moral of the story is the team in the bush is going to have an advantage. Okay, so get in this bush. So along this path, I want to point out just some areas to be wary. So we have common points of vision are going to be this bush here, like we just said, right? The enemies are going to stay where we already talked about on our defense, right? They're going to stay there. The mid laners maybe here. Other people will set up here, right? So these are common bushes that people will be in on the enemy team, okay? So what does your team do if your 4 people are running down and you face check the enemy support? So do you panic and all you run around and let the enemy team pick you off? No, just dive on and get a kill, right? If this support is foolish enough not to immediately run away, then you just kill them, okay? If they're smart enough to come down here and try to leash, they're probably not going to have time because you're already on top of them, right? And get the kill. If they happen to be like your dragon laner and smart enough to come down here right as soon as they see you, they come down, they leash it, they run away, then that's how it goes. Now you need to make the choice. Does your team stay and fight it out, or do you just give up on it and spread out, okay? If you give up on it and spread out, just simply everybody head to their lanes, okay? So you already cleared these bushes. What your 4 stack is going to do, the only danger path here for your mid laner is in this, right? So you can just kind of, oh, sorry, I'm still using the wrong one. We're switching. Okay, so what you would do is just come this way, clear the bush for your mid laner. Now your mid laner's back. Your support is where they want to be, which is in this bush. And then your DS laner would simply head up this way, come back to their lane, okay? And then finally your jungler just comes down and starts on their, whatever their Dark Slayer side buff is, okay? That's mission abort. So that is worst, if you're the invading team, this is worst case. More likely what's going to happen is nobody sees you, or the mid just sees you here, they don't leash the buff, you get in this, and what do? You always want to pull the buff into the bush, and you want to just melt it as quickly as possible, try to let your jungler get it. After you get this buff, what you are going to do then is you are going to clean up the other monsters, right? Because you want to take as much as you can. So don't just settle for the buff. You already have 4 people here. Kill it. If you can, kill it, right? And now you have taken half the enemy's jungle. So if, let's assume your side does a good job of defending, you also steal this for free, you have severely crippled the enemy jungler, okay? Another point that I need to make is if you, and I'm going to back up to take some of these, right, so I don't want to clutter the map. Anyways, if you, 4 people come here, you make it all the way to this bush, nobody saw you, no enemy has done anything, then what I like to say is you can tell your mid laner to come back, and wrong thing again, okay, is you tell your mid laner to come back to lane, okay, mid laner comes back to lane, and then DS laner can go back to lane, but more realistically the DS laner will come here, and the DS laner will come this way back to their lane, yep. So DS is back to lane, mid's back to lane, support and jungler are sitting in this bush killing the buff, they kill it quickly, and they go on to proceed to grab this, sorry I need to use my circles, they go on to kill this buff here, and then they can come out through this path. They could, if they think say the enemy mid's pushing up, they can even come here and have a gank because the jungler will be level 2 from killing the buff. Your mid laner at this point will have cleared one of the waves, so they'll be level 2. So you could get a 3v1 gank mid if the enemy jungler is unwise and is overextended. If not, then the jungler can simply just come back and start on their side and start the buff, okay? So basically that is the progression to the 4-man DS lane jungle invade. I'm sure there's little nuances that I left out, so if there's anything I left out, please ask questions in the comments. For anybody who has a great modification, please leave that in the comments. Anyways, we're all here to help each other out. So anyways, I hope everybody enjoyed this video. If you did, please like and subscribe. Also share it around. You know, that helps a lot if you guys can share it with your friends and anybody who plays the game that's in your social circle, so that we can just kind of spread the Squirrel Nation further and further. But anyways, as always, I hope you all have an amazing day, and take care and happy ranking.